Hello everyone, my name is Marco and we're about to take a look into different opinions about urbanization. So, the question for today is, shall we keep saving land for farming and agricultural purposes, or shall we keep building living spaces and developing our cities? So, we're going to approach random people in the streets to see what a big city like Seoul has to say about this debate. Our first question is, which environment do you prefer between city or countryside?
For me, it's definitely countryside because this is my personal preference. I personally like farming. Well, it doesn't mean that I farm myself, but I'm interested in nature and enjoying nature. I would rather live closer to nature than tall buildings and kind of a noisy space like city. But that doesn't mean that I hate city, but it's only my personal preference.
I think I really like living in the city. Like the down part is of course the contamination. It's like fast, like everything changes so fast.
If I had to choose between these two, I would choose the city because there are more things to do. You're closer to a supermarket, for example, or a park, to schools, to universities. Cities have much more to offer. It's easier to get around by public transport than on the countryside. However, I do feel like the countryside has some positives which I would like to incorporate into the city life. For example, having more gardens or having more spaces where I could plant my own vegetables.
Ever since I was little, I just felt very connected with nature, and it's more peaceful. You can totally feel that the air is different, and there's just so much peace in living in a countryside that is definitely the place that I would want to live.
Our second question is, should we keep building and developing our cities, or should we save land for farming and agriculture?
I mean that we can reuse areas that we already have by, for example, building skyscrapers and therefore building more living spaces in the space that we already have instead of harming land that could be used for agricultural purposes.
We live in a society like Seoul right now that has like really bad air condition, and you have to wear masks a lot of the time, and vegetables they're really expensive and you don't get to see them you don't grow them a lot, or the season changes, so it's they're not in season, so you cannot get them or you cannot access to them very easily. So I guess with that it would improve how you live in a big city like Seoul.
A city like Seoul needs a balance between both of them, because there's people and the society needs a place to live, right? But at the same time, we also need to cater those people.
Our third question is, which one is more important between having fresh vegetables and clean air available, or economical growth and opportunities for the people?
In my opinion, both are equally important and they go hand in hand. You can create jobs and new opportunities while also improving the access to vegetables and fruit and creating green spaces within cities.
So we're actually destroying the environment right now. So I'd say we should value the environment more and think about how we can solve these issues, and think more about how the long-term effect of these environmental impacts. And of course that would eventually lead to having clean air and fresh vegetables available.
Our fourth question is, would you be willing to incorporate rooftop farming into your daily routine?
If I had the opportunity to do rooftop gardening in the building that I am in right now, I would take up this opportunity. However, I would only be using a small space and only be planting things that are more or less self-sufficient, because I do not have the time to take care of a huge garden or difficult crops. But I do think that if this is made available, then there are a lot of people that would actually love to take this up, especially people that are close to retirement or in retirement. They would love to be able to do gardening, to grow their own plants, and then maybe also like to look over the little gardens of other tenants in the house. So with that being said, I think that even if you don't have the time to look or care for them all the time, if it's in the same building, you will always find someone who could help you water those plants in the times where you're not home or where you don't have time.
Okay, so I think it's a really good question, because in theory, we should all be able to do something by ourselves. But in practice, I don't think I will do it unless I was forced to do it. But on the other hand, I know some people will really enjoy doing it. For example, I know my parents will enjoy being able to grow their own fruit and vegetables. Now, I don't think it should be punished not doing it in your own time, unless you get incentives and you get paid to do it, in which case, of course, it becomes a job and you see it from a completely different perspective.
Our last question is, what's your opinion on growing vegetables under unnatural circumstances?
I think it's okay, and so far I think it's safe still, and it can also solve various global problems such as famine and food shortages. And personally, I don't feel bad about eating vegetables grown indoors in the laboratory, and we're still safe even though we eat these artificially grown food.
I'm not too sure about how to answer this question, because I'm really not an expert in this topic. Of course, it seems in theory that growing vegetables and fruit in natural circumstances in the countryside is better. But I know nowadays we have a lot of techniques that are not invasive and they are not necessarily harmful, and you save water, you save space. So if it's positive overall, I have nothing against growing vegetables and fruit in unnatural places.
And those were the opinions of the people we've interviewed today concerning this topic. Okay, everyone, that's it for today, and thank you for watching. See you next time.